First View TV, your cutting-edge television station, interfacing Africa and the rest of the world with excellent documentaries, business news, investment opportunities, lifestyle, and much more. We're currently on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also view while on the move at www.firstviewtv.tv. First View TV, changing the narrative.
To First View Television. Today I will be talking to a couple that have made great success of their lives here in the United Kingdom. The husband is a medical practitioner, whilst the wife is an entrepreneur par excellence. Bringing them on now, they would introduce themselves, they would tell us about their background, where they were born, academic background, and everything that makes them who they are. Good afternoon and welcome to First View Television.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Peter Ozwa, Edo State, which used to be Midwest region, Midwest states, and then Bendel State, and now Edo State. And that is following the metamorphosis of the various developments in Nigeria. Now, started my primary school in Epoma, but schooled in Benin City. I went to my secondary school in Benin, Immaculate Conception College, and then went to University of Benin Medical School. It was while at the University of Benin that I met my lovely wife, Elisabeth. First qualifications, MBBS, was obtained in Benin in 1982, and of course did my house job and then National Youth Service at National Orthopedic Hospital, Igbobi, Lagos, and then joined the State Health Service, and then started my postgraduate at the University College Hospital, Ibadan, and eventually left when all the specialists in the 80s, when they all disappeared, during the economic downturn. And then I decided to come to United Kingdom for a better and good quality training, and that is the reason why I came to the United Kingdom.
Thank you very much, Peter. That's been a journey. Bring it on to Elisabeth. Let's have a brief background on yourself as well.
My name is Elisabeth Ozwa, originally Nee Mordi, born to late C.C. Mordi and Felicia Mordi of Asaba. I was actually born in London, in Willesden Green, when my father was an undersecretary in the Nigerian High Commission. However, as a child, we all went back, and my early and formative years were in Nigeria. I did my primary school in Asaba, which is in present Delta State. It was originally in Midwestern State. And then I did my secondary schools in Queen of the Rosary College, Onitsha, as well as Idia College, Benin City. And then moved on from there to obtain my first degree at the University of Benin. And following on, I went on to University of Ibadan, where I had my master's degree and was doing my PhD before we had to relocate to the UK. I met Peter while I was at the University of Benin, and fell head over heels in love with him, and as they say, the rest is history. And I am so pleased that I met him, and we've been together now for over 40 years. And 42 July this year. Yeah, and it was just the making of the Lord, and I'm ever so gracious to God that our paths crossed. And as they say, the rest is history.
Wonderful, wonderful. Peter, share with us the journey thus far along the pathway of your medical profession?
I started at the Hammersmith Hospital, London, first on clinical attachment, because as we all know, when you come from abroad, it's difficult to have references, and therefore the best way was to have a clinical attachment. That was okay, except that it was just unfortunate when I came into the UK was when there was an oversupply of registrars in my specialty, which is histopathology, and the college decided to close half of all training posts in the country. So jobs were really very difficult then. But being that as it may, I still continued. While Elisabeth was working and supporting the family, she just told me, don't worry, you just study. You study and everything will be fine. And one of the biggest challenges is actually the cultural difference between coming from Nigeria and coming to stay in the UK. It's okay when you come on holidays, because when we're in medical school, we used to come to London, all you do is come, shop, party and go back. But when you come to stay, you find that life is really difficult and different. I remember one event that happened earlier when I thought my career was ended. When one of my consultants came to me and said, Peter, would you like to go and cut up the specimens? And I said, no. Everyone was horrified. He stormed off the room. When other registrars came to me and said, why did you turn him down? And I said, no, I did not. He gave me an option. He said, would you like to? And I said, no, I don't like to. Who would like to go and work when I was supposed to? Then I was informed the fact that it is an order. It wasn't actually an option. So I went to the consultant to try and explain to him that in Nigeria, when my professors or my seniors or consultants wants me to go and do anything, they tell me, Peter, go and do it. In Nigeria, if you think about it, in the English, it says, would you like to? If you don't want to, so I thought I had an option. So I then started rapidly trying to learn about how the English or the British way of speaking, so that I don't have any other mistake, because in the first place, he forgave me and actually made me a cup of cappuccino and we became friends. And the good news was the fact that we were so friendly that when he was retiring, he gave me all his books. But that was that. But I then got a registrar's job in Hammersmith, and then I continued. But a challenge of any doctor coming from Nigeria or Africa or somewhere else, I'm sure the challenges are similar, because I'll tell you mine. Mine was the fact that, nobody would speak to me, nobody would teach me, apart from the group teaching. But there are a lot of other informal teachings where the professor will have you one-on-one and talk to you and everything. If I ask questions, people will just say, oh, go and read. And so that I was struggling. I went from Hammersmith Hospital, then went to Plymouth, spent 2.5 years in Plymouth, and then 2 years in Exeter. It was when I went to Exeter that my life changed. I met a professor, Professor Anthony, who had spent some time, I was told, had spent some time in Africa, actually Uganda, Makerere University. So he was so nice and he understood what I was going through. So he then detailed all the consultants, because he was the most senior person there and everyone respected him, to teach me. And all of them started teaching me. I had one-on-one teaching, and that was when I started flying. From then on, everything was smooth sailing. Exams, every other thing in my life just became different from then. And apart from the support and assistance and help, care, you just name it, everything rolled into one from Elisabeth. The next person I will credit with who I am today is Professor Anthony. But I give more to Elisabeth because she was the one who who supported me when I didn't have a job, when I was doing clinical attachment. She just said, you stay there, I'll do all the job, I'll work, support us. And she did that. And, you know, just because some people, for those who want to watch, especially the younger ones, I remember what happened then was the fact that some people were laughing at her then, because they said the fact that, I mean, I'll say it in, because if you're a Nigerian, you understand this, to say, look, to say they never born the man where I go walk, where I go feed. Meaning the fact that, you know, they were laughing at that to say, well, why would you be working or be feeding your husband? Let him go and do a job. But then they didn't understand the fact that I needed time to be able to study, to pass my exams, for things to work. And she did all that. And the lesson for young people is the fact that don't always wait for a finished product. I may have been a doctor, yes, but then coming to the UK was a different ball game. And she sacrificed a lot for me to be able to get on the ladder. And by the grace of God, I got on the ladder, and then I got out at the end. I mean, of course, I've been a consultant for many years, you know, clinically, you name it, everything. But all the foundation was because of the fact that there was a struggle, and I had somebody behind me, who, whether behind, beside, and in front, who always supported me, encouraged me to do everything that I was doing. And thankfully, we have both arrived at where we are. She's got her own story. I mean, she's a success. But then the point is, when I look at her, I smile, because we started way back in the university, when we both met, and she was my girlfriend. But immediately we started dating. It didn't take me few weeks, few months, I realized the fact that she was the one. She was different. She was just there for me. So I was 21 years old, January 2nd, when I told her. Those days there was not, we didn't have all these the youngsters of kneeling and proposing and all that stuff. I did my own proposal in my own way, in my father's house. 2nd of January, I was 21. Then I just told her, I said, will you marry me? And she looked at me and said, look, Peter, you are crazy, but yes. And I said, from this day forward, you are my wife, but one day, when we leave school, I'll put that ring. 5 years later, I did. But there were challenges. Her father told my father, when they came to told my father to go and tell me we should grow up and go and continue to read. They felt the fact that we were too young. I was 25. But at that time, I thought, you know, I was cool. I had graduated. I felt I had everything. But looking back, you know, when I say 25-year-old trying to get married, I was thinking, Father, look, you look young anyway. But the main thing was the fact that what I did, you know, eventually they caved in and they just gave up and then decided to allow us to get married.
Absolutely inspiring story. We still want to come back to you because I know that a whole lot more is there to be shared. But let me take you to Nigeria. You started your medical career literally in Nigeria. Looking at the country today in terms of the medical infrastructure, what would you say? That's number one. Second, in your own conclusion of that state, what would be your suggestions and recommendation?
The medical facilities in Nigeria many years ago were excellent. I'm not aware of it, but what I'm told and what I read was the fact that in the 60s, that the Saudi royal family used to come to Ibadan for medical treatment. That was how good the hospitals were, and that was how good the quality of care that was being delivered in Nigeria. We had well-trained doctors, we had committed doctors, not just doctors, nurses, radiographers, everybody. when I was training because I started I got into medical school in 1976. You know, the hospitals were fantastic. We had everything. External examiners used to come from Britain to come and when we conducted our exams. That speaks volumes. It meant the fact that, you know, the quality of training then for doctors in Nigeria was equivalent to what you had in Britain. While we're in training, we did not lack anything. We had professors and consultants who most of them had foreign, they may have trained initially in Nigeria, but they had all foreign qualifications. They also had part of their training in UK or America and everything. So the standard was very high. Things were okay until the economy collapsed. There was the loss of course, the experienced doctors and nurses and radiographers. It wasn't just only doctors that were recruited. All these were recruited. But most importantly, there was a big decline in the funding of our health service. With that, the hospital infrastructure, all the equipments, everything as they were at the end of their lifespan, they were not being replaced. Many of them became obsolete. Now we are at a very, very difficult time now in Nigerian health service because two things. If you don't have a well-trained manpower, a well-trained doctors, consultants, you're unlikely to have well-trained doctors. That is the students coming through, because you can't give what you don't know. Now morale is very bad because the salary is quite low, not just for doctors but nurses and radiographers, everybody, because the hospital actually is a teamwork. I mean, I'm an honorary consultant to 2 teaching hospitals in Nigeria. I mean, when I visit the places, it's really run down. Most of them, you know, have all the wards run down. If you enter a ward in Nigeria, I mean, you will not believe it. I mean, the place is so unkept. It isn't because of the fact that, you know, the people in Nigerian is naturally lazy. No, the Nigerian is actually a very hardworking person. Think about all of us in diaspora, in America, in Britain, everywhere. Be it nurses, engineers, and everybody, we excel. It means the fact that when I tell people, when people complain about the attitude of Nigerian doctors, or say, oh, they don't know anything, I say that's not correct. I'm a Nigerian trained doctor. I am good because I know that I've been validated because I've gone through the system here. I'm a consultant and I've continued to practice for over 20 years as a consultant at a higher level. And by the grace of God, I'm still doing good. So I must be doing something right. And I'm a Nigerian. So I'm not different. And when you bring a Nigerian, because I've also recruited some Nigerians from home. And when they come initially, they're not very good, but they learn very quickly. So what I would advise the government to do, for which I actually recommended to one of the state's governors many years ago, was to say, look, hey, fix the infrastructure. Because it is not just about pay. There has to be job satisfaction. Because there is no point in going to the hospital as doctors or nurses or any health professional. Your duty of care is to the patient. You want to do good for the patient, for the well-being of the patient. And if, it doesn't matter whether if you are paid £1 million or dollars or whatever, but if you can't save a life, you become really dejected. I mean, you feel not fulfilled. The only way to be able to achieve that is to provide enabling environment, equip the hospitals, make the hospitals safe, provide a good environment for the people to be able to work and thrive. But of course, if you look at it, there's also the system is the fact that you need to also widen it. For a doctor, okay, yes, will you really be happy? Okay, fine, the hospitals are good, everything is good, but your kids can't go to school. You know, so Nigeria, we do need to face our priorities in terms of be good to ourselves, be kind to ourselves. I appeal to those people who hold the apron strings of, you know, the purse strings, I mean, to say, look, fix the infrastructure, because many Nigerians here would like to go home to go and give our services. Many of us have been doing it, and as I told you, I mean, I'll be going next week, and I'm going to one of the teaching hospital departments to talk to the doctors, because I concentrate on teaching those in training and talking to the consultants, because if you train the trainers, then the medical students will benefit from it. I buy books and I buy journals and provide that. So most of us are still very interested in Nigeria and we want to give back, but please provide the enabling environment.
We're going to turn to Elisabeth, because we know that Elisabeth has a very, very interesting and profound side to share with us. So Elisabeth, just tell us your story from a business perspective. Let's take it up from there.
I'll actually say I became an entrepreneur by chance. As Peter mentioned when he was speaking, when we found ourselves back in the UK, because he had to come back and continue his studies here, the onus was on me to provide for the family. Yes, he was asked to leave his beloved histopathology and go into another area so he could easily be rewarded. But I don't believe in short-term rewards. And I felt it would be so unfair if he was forced to do what he didn't like just to put food on the table. I was willing to persevere. I was willing to do any honest thing I needed to do to ensure that we were looked after while he did the necessary. And that's how I came across becoming what I'll call an entrepreneur. I had a full-time job then. I was working with London Transport. We actually were the ones who built the Julie Line Extension project. And I was looking for ways to make extra money to add on to what I was earning at that point in time. Cut a long story short, I stumbled into the business I am now through someone who shared the career opportunity with me. Being a forward-thinking person, I saw the opportunities that were there, and I actually ran after her, wanting to be a part of it. Many a time, people are kind of really talked into being, doing something extra. I sought it myself. And I love the phrase, a journey of 1,000 miles always starts with the first steps. And without any experience whatsoever in running a business or being an entrepreneur, I actually jumped in with my 2 feet. But I have a fearsome determination to succeed in anything I do. And having promised Peter to go study while I did the necessary, I knew that I could not fail. I had to make it work. I had to balance the books. I had to make sure that we paid the bills, and had to make sure that there was food on the table. And our 2 children there were extremely very young. So coming into that business, I knew I had to be successful. It's often said, if it's to be, it's up to you. And do what you have to do so you can be successful. And that's exactly what I did. I had a full-time job, but on Saturdays and Sundays, weekends, when I wasn't doing my full-time job, I did what was my then part-time career. And I gave it 1,001%. I had a positive attitude towards it. I believed in myself. I believed in the company. I believed in the products. And I was committed, as well as I was consistent, because these are key ingredients to being successful in anything you put your hands to. And I knew that Peter was watching me. I couldn't afford to flounder or fail. I remember one time I was chilling and kind of losing track. He probably would have forgotten this. And he looked me one day and said, is this how we're going to be successful? That was a wake-up call. And I went back, did everything I needed to do, and that's what has helped me to be as successful as I have been so far and continue to be. So when you're committed to something and you're willing to make it work, you find the courage, which for me is one of the most important attributes a human being needs. Because without courage, no matter what other attributes you have, you will not succeed. The courage I had to give this business a go, or to become a businesswoman, because my background is in academics. When I graduated, I went back to the University of Benin as a graduate assistant and a lecturer. And that's how I was until I came to support Peter. I actually gave up finishing my PhD to come and support Peter, to ensure that I earned the money while he did the work at that time to finish his postgraduate training. And I'm glad I did that. So that courage to do what I needed to do gave me the determination and the discipline to do the work on a daily basis, even when I didn't feel like. Because sometimes there are days when you wake up and you don't feel like doing what you're doing, but when you know what your why is, the reason why you're doing what you're doing, no one needs to remind you. So your why is your purpose. And I'm always on a daily basis reminded of what my why is. My wife is my family. And from the very first time I met Peter till today, Peter has always been my why. He doesn't even know that. Because anything to make him happy, anything to make him successful, I'll go to the end of the earth to make that happen. Anything that has to do with Peter, including his family, his culture, his home, because we don't come from the same place. But when I bought into Peter, I bought into anything that had to do with him. And those were the things that drove me to become very successful. I needed to learn a lot, and I was willing to learn what I needed to learn to become this person who I have become. I can't tell you I was born with all this, but you know what? I work on myself on a daily basis, and I continue to. And that's the suggestion I'll give to anyone who is facing any challenges of any sort. Yes, Peter was very right. At those initial stages, people thought I was crazy. Why are you doing all this? You know, how are you even sure? I can even take you back. I've been making a lot of sacrifices. I actually got the Commonwealth Scholarship to go to Australia. But that meant if I went to Australia, I wouldn't be seeing Peter. I threw that scholarship away. I got a scholarship to come to London then to do my PhD, but that meant I'd probably see him once or twice a week. I threw that scholarship away. Then I got the federal government scholarship to study in the University of Ibadan. It meant I only didn't see him Monday to Thursday. I saw him at the weekend. I accepted that one. You see, those are sacrifices you make when you believe in someone. And I'm so glad I did those, and it's paid off. And in return, he's the one looking after me now. Quite frankly, I really, really applaud you, Peter, for making my life very, very comfortable, as well as the children. So those initial sacrifices I made have really, really paid off. And I am ever so grateful for who you are, what you represent, the discipline you've shown us, the consistency, the leadership of our family. Those things mean a lot to us. Yes, we were young when we met each other. But one of the things that endeared me to Peter when I met him, I saw a mature mind in a young body. And that speaks for something. So sometimes it's not about the physical attributes of the person. It's about what is inside, what God has put inside the person. I would suggest that's what people are looking for. And being each other's keeper. Sometimes you are the strong one, sometimes he is the strong one. And someone once said that we are all angels. When you flap your wing, I flap my wing, we go higher. When you have one idea and you have one idea, we have two ideas. That is what has made our union very, very successful. And those are the things that have really also helped me in my business. Sometimes when I'm in a quandary, I go to him. And he's able to, give me brilliant ideas. When I'm worried, he's able to calm me down. When I'm frustrated, he's able to also make me know that, this too shall pass. And that has really helped me to continue to be so successful in everything I put my hand to. So if you're watching this, I'm saying to you, find that person who continues to inspire you. And you know what? There are days when it might be you who would be inspiring them, but many a time they will be inspiring you, because I believe in one thing: what you sow, you will reap. Gratitude has done so much for me. I've been ever so grateful for this amazing man beside me, and that gratitude I pour out, I receive, because it's like a beam of light reflecting back to me. So thank you for being who you are, and thank you for the 42 years we've been together. It's just so amazing. I can't even believe that we've been together for 42 years. It looks like just 5 years. So that's how quickly the time has gone by, because we're having fun.
Absolutely beautiful. You know, just listening to you, in terms of your sacrifice, my sensing is that it was ordained. It was ordained. So your initial focus was to ensure that the home front was taken care of. You weren't looking at that particular opportunity that came your way as a venture or a place of commercial benefit. What comes across is that you saw it as a source of livelihood that will support the family. And in taking that step, possibly unknown to you, you stepped into purpose. Because that is what has defined who you are today. It's possible that the scholarships, if you had embarked on that pathway, we wouldn't be here talking about this today. The interesting part of it is that as individuals, you are both inspiring people. Dr. Peter Ozua, in his own right, in the United Kingdom, is a leader, highly respected within the community. The same thing is applicable to you. What this has said to us and anyone that is listening today is that partnership, understanding that as we can come together in one, we're able to achieve greater heights. Dr. Peter Ozua, Chief Mrs. Elisabeth Ozua, thank you so much for the time that you've given to us this afternoon. It has been quite inspiring. But before we come to a conclusion, there are some parting words I know that you'd like to share. Many people are listening and are watching this program, even right at this point in time. What would you like to leave as your parting remarks to the viewers?
I'll break it in two. Nigerians at home, or our brothers and sisters of those people who are at home, and those that are here. Now, for those of us that are here, I would like to say we need to come together. We need to unite, not necessarily as one kind of body, but at least try and connect with your fellow Nigerian. You see, it breaks my heart when I see colleagues, when I mean colleagues, I mean Nigerians who, because they think in their mind that they've made it, they become successful, and they don't care about anything Nigerian. That is the dumbest thing you can do, because over the years we've seen people who, my apologies, I thought it was on silent. Yeah, I've seen people who despise or didn't want to connect with us, but then when they get into trouble, then they run back to the Nigerian group. There are all Nigerians. We come from somewhere. We come from a state. We come from a tribe. And in this country, or in Nigeria, or America, and all, we have associations. Be it Lagos State, Kaduna State, Enugu State, or Ekpe Oduduwa, you name it, or Hanese, there are all kinds of organizations that are here, under which there is an umbrella organization which is called CANUC, the Central Association of All Nigerians United Kingdom. And incidentally, I am the first General Secretary of the Central Association of Nigerians United Kingdom, which is the umbrella organization of all Nigerian organizations. I became the General Secretary of that organization representing MANSAG, which is a medical association of all Nigerians across Great Britain and Ireland. I say this because I'm passionately Nigerian and I associate with everything Nigerian, because that is the only way we can let our children know the fact that they have a purpose. They come from somewhere. They will have, that's where they will derive their values, because out there they might be derided, or maybe the society might not be welcoming. But when they come and see, or they come to an organization and see people, in one swoop they will know the fact that, oh, there are different uncles and there are different people in Nigeria. That's when they will know the fact that, they will have mentors. They will see the fact that Nigerians are excelling. But if you are alone with your children in your own household, you'll be disconnected from that center. And it isn't just, I'm not just saying it because in the first place I want to. Look at other successful communities where they are united. They patronize their businesses. So when they earn money, actually money circulates within them before it goes out of their community. And therefore they are able to support one another. If we are united, we can support each other's businesses. If you succeed, I succeed. But if we are all individuals trying to do our own little things, we will never make a headway as a community. So my advice to us here in diaspora is, please just unite. Please patronize our businesses. We have people who are doing great things, just like yourself. I know you very well. The main thing is, if you're somebody I respect very well, I've always actually respected you. And the fact that, you have always been a leader. You have products. I mean, you have a television station. You have all. You see, the thing is for our people, if you have a business and you want to somebody to advertise, patronize our services. After all, who are your audience? Who are your market? At least our people are there to patronize you, and therefore you should advertise with our people, because if they're doing well, you do well. And then for those ones back home also, is to say, look, hey, if you think the fact that somebody else will come from outside, if you want America or Britain or somebody else to come and fix Nigeria, it won't happen. If it has to be good, it is up to us, both those of our brothers and sisters and uncles and aunties at home and us in diaspora, to also give back, to try and fix Africa, to try and fix Nigeria, because other people will not do it. It's up to us to do it. And then please, my plea to those people in authority is, be merciful. Because look at your fellow man and say, look, you don't need all that. You don't need to take that vast amount of wealth out of the system, because the roads that you don't build today will lead to accidents. The hospitals you don't fund will lead to a lot of deaths. So many things that you don't do will have very big negative impact, including you. You will not need to be running to London, to America, to India for medical treatments if you fund the hospitals.
Peter mentioned a few things in his roundup, which I would love to address. And most especially, I'll be speaking to our youths, our second generation, our children who we've had in this country. I know you're kind of a hybrid, not in a negative way, because your parents mainly grew up in Africa, some of us, and you've been brought up here. And sometimes you question some of the things we say to you or teach you. But trust me, there is value in some of the judgments we make. And if only you can have an open mind and listen to what we share with you, Or when you're not sure, ask us why we're saying what we're saying or doing what we're doing. We can explain that to you. But the three things I'd love to talk about today is purpose. What is your purpose? What do you stand for? Why did God create you? The next thing I want to talk about is legacy. And when I talk about legacy, I'm talking about you and I, we the older generation. How will we be remembered? Because that is what fuels me every day. That is what wakes me up every day. That is what puts a stride in my step every day. Legacy. Legacy is so crucial. What we hand over to the people who are behind us is how we'll be remembered. So no matter what you're doing, always think about what would your legacy will be. How will people remember you? And that takes me to the next point, which is about mentorship. Mentorship is crucial. And for the young people, I would say, whatever area you are in, find a mentor. In everything you do, find a mentor. In your profession, in your family life, in your religious life, whatever religion you are, find someone who can mentor you, because mentorship pays. Sometimes when you get to the end of your rope, you have to tie a knot and hang in there, because success is around the corner. And that is what a mentor will do for you. A mentor is a useful opposite, someone who would see it from a different eye, and having been through those steps will be able to help you do things correctly. Peter mentioned how Professor Anthony mentored him and the difference it made. We have enough people in our own community now who can mentor people. I would suggest that you go out of your way and even offer. I do mentor a lot of people, even when they haven't asked me for. When I see where there's a gap and I know that people need it, I offer to help them. And many a time they do accept it. And I see the difference it makes in different spheres of life. So I would suggest that for us to continue to be a voice to be reckoned with, our community needs to start seeing things differently and looking at things holistically. Not from a selfish point of view, from a point of view of Ubuntu, as the South Africans will say. You know, when you succeed, I succeed. When you do well, I do well. And until we begin to see things that way, our continent will benefit when that happens. Where I am now, I don't see someone as a Nigerian or a Ghanaian. I see you as a fellow African. That's where my thinking is. And I would love for us to be thinking that way and helping each other. Because together, everyone achieves more. That is team. And we have to be focused to make this happen. So we have to follow one course until we're successful. And for the professional colleagues who have really helped us, and amazingly, thank you so much, Afolabi, for this opportunity for us to share with so many people. We are so grateful for what you're doing in our community, not just here in the United Kingdom, in diaspora, in Nigeria, everywhere. Because without people like you, who put spotlight on various things that are happening, who reward people for the work they are doing in silent or, hidden, people will know you bring these things to the fore, and it's really amazing. And as they say, behind every successful man, there is an amazing person. And thank you so much for always being there and very supportive. She is the unsung hero. People don't know how much, but I know without her, we wouldn't be singing this song. But it's been an amazing opportunity for us to share our story today. Thank you. And I hope you pick up something that might inspire you or help you to go forward in your own life.
I conclude this program by saying that it truly has been an inspiring session spending time with the Ozua today. Join us as we carry on First View Television. Much more to come. Thank you very much.
First View TV, your cutting-edge television station, interfacing Africa and the rest of the world with excellent documentaries, business news, investment opportunities, lifestyle, and much more. We're currently on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also view while on the move at www.firstviewtv.tv. First View TV, changing the narrative.